You're listening to The Real Estate Ride. Make sure to subscribe and enjoy the show.
We flip houses as part of a business that we have, and we were given the opportunity that we could do 200 to 300 houses a year and build this great fund and have all of this money and all of this opportunity for more money, and then turn around and sell this fund that we've created with all of these flip houses or all of these rental properties. And we're like, we do enough as it is. We don't want to do that. We appreciate that offer, but that doesn't fit in line with our vision, because we don't want to be working 60 plus hours a week. We don't want to be doing 200 houses a year when we already do 12, and 12 is too many as far as we're concerned. So, I mean, there's lots of different avenues that you can take. And if that's what you decide that's what you want to do, and that fits in the vision for your life, crank it out and crank it out hard for a period of time, as long as that period of time is definitive, that's not necessarily a problem if that fits in with what you want to do. But if that doesn't fit in with the lifestyle that you want to lead, then, definitely use that as a, no, that's not going to happen for us, because Jay and I have a lifestyle that we like and that we've worked really hard to come up with and to make happen. And, we don't want to work 365 days a year or even 360 days a year. We want to be able to take time off when we want to take time off and go on vacation. And that vision that we're going to work on this week really kind of sets that up for us to where we can say, no, that's not what we want to do. We appreciate the offer. We understand what you're offering to us and what we're turning down, but that's just not something that we're interested in right now. All right. So every year, Jay and I, at the end of the year, we go over our personal vision and our business visions, and then kind of break out what we want to do and what we want to focus on for each business that we have, and set some goals and some waypoints and make some stuff happen. So we wanted to share that information with all of you, so that you too can join in and kickstart your business or your personal life, or both, for the new year. A lot of people say, they want to set New Year's resolutions. And as most of you, if not all of you, know, the statistics on whether or not the actual resolution is seen to the end of the year is slim to none in most cases. But we prefer to set some goals with some actionable items that are measurable, and then shoot those out to our coaching group that we have, as far as ones that we are coaches for, as well as the ones that we are participants of, so that we can have some accountability in all of it. And we're just going to talk about how we do that over the next 5 days and get you solid on at least the start of a vision for both yourselves and your businesses, or maybe open up a business that you haven't thought about, or close one if you need to, or refocus your energies on something else, because that's everything that we discuss typically when we do this. So we have included our staff on these meetings before, and although we don't mind doing that, it seems like, especially this week, our staff is a little all over the place. So we thought we would just do a call and then go from there. If we needed to do a meeting with some of our staff members to get their input to make some waypoints and goals happen, or measurable, actionable items anyway, we will do that. And if we just want to say, this is what we've decided for this business and here's what we would like you to do, we'll do that as well. So it just kind of depends on how you want to go about it as an individual or as a business owner, or if you are thinking about even becoming a business owner, what that looks like. So feel free to jump in, ask questions, add some information to the conversation if you want, or if you feel the need to. That's perfectly fine as well. So I am at my house because I have 2 of my 4 children that have had medical procedures done in the last 2 weeks. So I am playing nursemaid as well as business owner and operator right now. And My husband, Jay, who is my business partner, for all of you that are on the call, obviously you know that, but this might be used for something else. And he is on his way to Florida with a crew to work on our property down there that we have that was hit by Hurricane Ian. So that will obviously come into play in our goals in the next couple months to get that done and operating as a short-term rental once again. But
that's a good point to bring up, right?
Right.
Go ahead. Finish what you were saying, and then I'll.
So I was say I think we should just jump in with the vision. So go right ahead.
Well, I was gonna say you made a good point in, hey, you're playing nursemaid and business owner and all of that, and everyone has to do that, right? And you can say, well, I can't do this because blank, or I can't do that because blank. And that's not something that was in our vocabulary. We
I don't know if anybody else cannot hear you, Jay, but I can no longer hear you.
Yeah, his audio cut out.
That's what I thought too. So I don't know if your earbuds went dead or if you're in a bad spot, but we can't hear you. So, along those same lines, I think that that's a big thing as far as our business is concerned and why we really started looking at working for ourselves, both of us, because when I was working for someone else, the flexibility obviously is not there. And Bonnie, you can attest to this because you work for us, obviously. If you need to take time, we're pretty flexible about, just taking the time that you need. That's really important to us, that we have the flexibility for ourselves as well as our team members. And I say team members because they're technically not our staff. They're not employees. So they kind of set their own schedules and we can work around that as needed. But it is really important that we have that flexibility, especially with our daughter. And just want to make sure that.
Starting to get a little man mustache up in here.
What? Just make sure that we have the ability to take time off if we need to. And it's a real test to our validity as team members that we, were able to do that for 2 weeks, basically. And Jay and I really didn't have to focus on anything business-wise because our team really took care of basically everything. I mean, there were a few questions, but we took care of those in a matter of about 10 to 15 minutes and we were back to what we needed to focus on. So that's really important and an important key point for us to be able to have a team that can handle pretty much everything and feel like they're empowered to do so. And we make sure that they know, the information that they need to know if they don't know it already, and really kind of enforce that as far as flexibility for us and for them.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm back.
I see that.
I was talking and then I stopped and everything was frozen.
Oh, well, we saw, I don't know. We heard you talking a little bit, and then we saw you talking and heard nothing, and then you were gone. So,
oh, okay.
We heard you say something about the start of the conversation on flexibility, and I may have taken over and finished what you were going to say, but maybe not. So
I was just going to say you were making a good point I wanted to hit on that's important. Everybody has a lot of things happening in their life, a lot of things going on, challenges, things to overcome. And you can't use that as an excuse. I can't do this because of that, or I can't do this because of that. You have to reframe it in your mind we don't use I can't do because blank. We use how can I? How can I do blank? Right? So there's multiple ways to do things, and deciding right up front that you cannot do something before you've even tried it is just creating a negative future outcome that doesn't even exist.
Right. Oop.
So if you think of it and you write it down and you brainstorm with other people, like that is how you hit your goals fast and you achieve your goals. And maybe you can't achieve that huge specific goal right now, but you can break it down into steps and then take steps on those particular action items. So you heard Danny say, I'm playing nurse mom and business owner and all of that, but that is true. All of us have to do that. Whether it's for your kids or your parents or you personally, your spouse, there's always going to be challenges. And for you to say, I can't do this because of blank, that's what stops 90% of the people from doing anything or from not starting to live their dreams now.
Right. There's always room for excuses, right? So there's always room for excuses. There's always ways of finding a way out of what you say you want to do. And that's why we or finding ways to avoid what you actually want to do. So that's why we take the vision really seriously on what we do and don't do. It's really a way to turn down stuff that you don't want to do because it doesn't fit in your vision. It's a way of filtering things that you can do or not do and really strategically place those purposefully in your life. So we can definitely teach you all how to do that. And that's our plan. And
a good example is our daughter Jaden. When she wanted to buy a car, she wanted a new car, and she didn't want a car payment. We didn't want to sign for a car, and so we said, well, yeah, you can buy a car, but you can buy one from flipping a house. So the goal is for you to buy a car with cash, and you can do that if you flip a house because you can make a good chunk of money from flipping a house. Can you buy the car that you want? Well, that depends on how much money you make on your house flip. Right. And so in her case, she did compromise. She bought a used car, but she did learn how to flip a house. She took the action steps. She looked at properties. She figured out what they would be worth if they're fixed up. She figured out roughly what it would cost to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And she made offers on houses. She wasn't old enough to do that. Does that mean she can't do it? Most people would say, yeah, she cannot do that. She's not old enough.
Right. Or I don't know how to do it.
Or I don't know, but how can I? You ask yourself, maybe you don't know the answer, but that's why you tell 100 other people your goals. Because when they hear them, they want to help you accomplish them. And they will help you figure out a way to make that happen. We just happen to know that we could open an LLC and one of us be the owner because she was not 18 years old and just make her a partner on it.
Right.
So keep an open mind when you're making any and all of these goals, whether they're business or personal.
And they may seem totally unattainable too, and that's okay. And I actually attended a webinar, 2 weeks ago now, that said that making big, hairy, audacious goals are not necessarily the way to go, because then you get depressed when you don't hit those. But let's be clear, we don't have any plans of not hitting them. So I understand where he was coming from by saying that, but if you just make the goals and don't do any way steps or waypoints to get to those goals, then you're not going to hit them. And you and I both know that, right? So you have to do the work to make the work happen. I can't just say, I want to live in this house on the beach, to where I can walk out my back door and be in the ocean and not put any work toward making that happen. And it's just going to automatically appear to you. That's not how it works. There is a lot of people that manifest stuff, but you still have to manifest the goal and then do the work to get to the goal. It's not just going to appear in your bank account or appear, in your on your plate as this is what's going to happen for you because this is what you say is going to happen. You have to do the work. So that's our little disclaimer. You can put down on paper whatever you want, but just because Jay and I say put it on paper, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen for you. You have to put the work in, and we can't do that work for you. You have to do it yourself. Now, we can hold you accountable, and we can help you put waypoints and steps in place that are attainable to get to those goals and make them very attainable. We've done it for ourselves, and we've helped numerous coaching students do that as well. But you yourself have to put in the work, and you yourself have to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable as well as the rest of us holding you accountable. So there's my little disclaimer.
And sometimes things are achievable, but not in the original way that you anticipate.
Right.
So we've had that come up where we review goals with students and we discover, as an example, one couple wanted to bring the wife home from work. And once we discovered what they were spending their money on and their bills, outgoing and cash coming in, we figured out that all he had to do was give up. It sounds crazy, but he was drinking 2 Starbucks coffees a day. So all he had to do was give up his 2 Starbucks coffees, and he could buy himself a really nice top-of-the-line espresso machine for his house, which equaled coffees for a month. Okay, it was over a $300 machine. But he figured out that once he eliminated going to Starbucks twice a day, it would only cost them an extra $250 a month once they eliminated paying for daycare and Starbucks. It was only costing them $250 a month to bring her home from work and not have to have her work anymore.
Right.
And for her to be able to raise her children instead of going to work every day and having a babysitter raise her kids.
Right. So like you said, the goal is, what it is. And then your waypoints and your action steps may not be the same as you originally thought, because they thought they had to pay off all of their debt. They had thought that they had to have so much money in the bank. They thought that they had to do all of this in order for her to be able to quit her job. But in all actuality, she went home after our mastermind meeting and gave her 2-week notice. So it wasn't like it was as difficult as they thought it was. It wasn't the original plan, but it was still the plan that hit the goal ultimately. So
yeah, and that was a goal they thought would take 1 or 2 years.
Right.
And we were able to figure it out in 1 or 2 hours. Now, that's not the case for every person or every situation, but
right.
That's just an example that there's multiple ways to hit a goal, and even the road that you originally took is rarely going to be the final road that gets you there. There's many whys to the path.
Exactly.
You might have 2 options or 3 options, and you have to pick the path that makes the most sense to hit your target goal and still be living in your vision that you have for your life personally and professionally.
Right.
And that's the reason why we do this exercise too, is because I had a goal to make 6 figures a year. And yeah, sure, I did it. And it took me a number of years, and I worked every single day, except one day a month. So did that make it worth hitting that goal? Looking back, no, it didn't make it worth it because I had no free time. I lost who I was as a person. I had no time for hobbies, no time for recreation, friends, no time for dates with my wife or doing anything fun with my kids. And so that's an example of setting a goal that puts all of your other other life elements on the side, like putting everything on the back burner. And that's not the way to do this. That's not the way to do it and have a healthy life and relationship with yourself and all of the people that surround you.
So there's a lot of people that preach for lack of a better word, or teach that, there's always a hustle period, and there is always a hustle period, but that hustle period doesn't have to intersect or even affect the time that you need for yourself, for your family, for your significant other. And, Jay and I have had numerous opportunities to increase the businesses that we already have. We flip houses as part of a business that we have, and we were given the opportunity that we could do 200 to 300 houses a year and build this great fund and have all of this money and all of this opportunity for more money, and then turn around and sell this fund that we've created with all of these flip houses or all of these rental properties. And we're like, we do enough as it is. We don't want to do that. We appreciate that offer, but that doesn't fit in line with our vision, because we don't want to be working 60 plus hours a week. We don't want to be doing 200 houses a year when we already do 12, and 12 is too many as far as we're concerned. So, there's lots of different avenues that you can take. And if that's what you decide, that's what you want to do, and that fits in the vision for your life, crank it out and crank it out hard for a period of time. As long as that period of time is definitive, that's not necessarily a problem if that fits in with what you want to do. But if that doesn't fit in with the lifestyle that you want to lead, then, definitely use that as a, no, that's not going to happen for us, because Jay and I have a lifestyle that we like and that we've worked really hard to come up with and to make happen. And, we don't want to work 365 days a year or even 360 days a year. We want to be able to take time off when we want to take time off and go on vacation. And that vision that we're going to work on this week really kind of sets that up for us to where we can say, no, that's not what we want to do. We appreciate the offer. We understand what you're offering to us and what we're turning down, but that's just not something that we're interested in right now.
Right.
So on that note, the 8, I think there's 8.
Well, it depends which wheel you use.
Right. I think there's 8 main areas that we focus on. So it's health and wellness for yourself, basically. Your career or your business. Number 3 is your family. Number 4, or family and friends. Number 4 is your significant other or spouse. Number 5 is your home life or environment. Number 6 is money. What are the other 2, Jay?
One is just fun.
Oh, spirituality and then fun and leisure. That's the other one. So, and spirituality doesn't necessarily have to mean religion for you. We did have a coaching student in the past that is not religious at all. And he was like, well, this doesn't pertain to me. And you're right. If you look at it strictly as a spiritual type thing, it will not pertain to somebody that doesn't believe in God. But we feel like it's more of a spiritual path or an emotional connection of some sort, whether it's a higher power or church or whatever the case may be. Just your spirituality in general, I feel like. Yes? No?
I think so. It could be meditation. It could be just simply prayer. It could be the challenge to read the whole Bible. It could be to read the Quran, someone else's Bible, right? It could anything like that. It could be studying the history of theology. It's whatever you feel raises your being, your spirit as a person.
I heard a song lyric over the weekend, and it was God is too big for one religion, and I thought that was really, because it's like, my theology is, as long as your religion, your deity makes you a good person to other people and in your society, I'm all for it. And if it makes you a hole, then I'm not for your religion.
Whatever you good person, then that's I'm game for. Whatever makes you an a-hole, like you said, not so much.
Honestly, even people that are not spiritual or not religious, I mean, to me, that all just goes back to, your spirituality or your religion, whatever that is. The purpose of that in my book is to help you give your position on your moral compass. So, it's like, I like to do a good deed every day. I mean, I don't want every panhandler in the world coming at me, but sometimes I'm happy they're standing at the exit. So I'm like, I can give this guy a few bucks and go ahead and do my good deed today and be done.
Right.
Or, sometimes they're bigger. So
Very good. Yeah, so you have to write down, right? You have to write down what it is that, where do you feel you are right now, and in your spirituality, and what would elevate that for you. So sometimes we look back. I like to look back the year before and see, okay, how did I do with everything? And what can I do better this year? Right.
Right.
And so you have to decide what that is for you.
Exactly.
For me, it is reading more of the Bible verses and deciphering how those relate to my life. And so setting up a SMART goal is the way that an analogy I learned years ago in sales that I use in different areas of my life. So is it specific? Is it a specific goal? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Does it relate to my vision?
Right.
And does it have a timeline on it? Right?
Yep.
So last year, spiritual for me was doing meditation every day. And do I do it every day? No, I miss days. But I tracked it, so I was measuring it, and uh, I did it because I wanted to uh, raise the happiness level of my spirit, lower my stress, increase my mental healthiness, as I would like to say, and that worked. And so now this year I'm adding in reading the Bible verse and then meditating on that. And so I've built one habit. I do it now daily. I did not every day at first. I probably did half of the month the first 3 or 4 months, and then I finally build it in as a morning habit. And so you have to decide what that is for you. Maybe it's you're gonna go to church once a week. Maybe you're gonna go take a family member or a friend to church. Maybe uh, you're gonna study the Bible with someone else. Maybe you're gonna start meditating or do yoga. To me, that's spiritual and physical, both. So you pick, maybe it fits in both of your categories of physical and spiritual healthiness. And so I would take a minute now to write down in the spirit category 2 or 3 things and pick them all or just pick one.
Right. And they don't have to be big things, right? Like that's what Jay was saying, that it can just be meditation, or which, meditating for 5 minutes may not sound like a lot, but when you haven't done it, it gets quite interesting.
3 minutes was a lot for me initially.
Right.
Now I do 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes.
So yeah, it's spiritual, and then go to the next category.
Yeah. So it's health and wellness, or
So
Fam-
health and wellness.
yeah.
So that one could be what workouts you're going to do, challenges that you're going to do for your health. It could be nutritional, like what are you going to eat? It could be what are you going to stop eating? It could be what are you going to stop drinking? Or what are you going to start drinking? Right?
Yes.
When I first started setting health goals, uh, really setting them on a regular basis about 10 years ago, I started with I just want to run like a half a mile. I had ran up to 5 miles when I was younger, and I ran quite often. And so I wanted to get back into that. And I was challenged shortly after that to run an Ironman race, which I did. But I didn't start with an Ironman race. I started with a goal of I'm going to run a half a mile. And then I bumped it to a mile, right? And then I went to a 5K. And then I went to a 10K. A 5K is a little over 3 miles. A 10K is a little over 6 miles. And so slowly over a period of about a year and a half, I built my way up to running an Ironman race. So now I'm running, swimming, and biking. It's a triathlon. And to me, that was a goal that seemed so big that I would never be able to accomplish it. But I hired a coach and I got a plan, right? I found a system, and I found a training program that took me from today to the date of the race and told me specifically, this is what you have to do every day. So, was I perfect in my pursuit of that? Absolutely not. I missed days. I missed some of my nutrition meals, but by tracking it and by setting the goal, setting the intention, and then tracking it daily, that allowed me to only get off track 1 day or 2 days at a time. And then it was like, okay, I gotta get things back in order again. So keep that in mind. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to miss this training or that meal. And you just have to recognize that and get yourself set back up.
Exactly. So I added the different areas that we have on our wheel of life, is what we call it. You'll see a bunch of different ones out there, like Jay mentioned earlier. It's in the chat. I think Mike Gentry and we are the only ones left on the call. But if you want to go over some other things in the last 15 minutes, then we can wrap stuff up and have another one tomorrow.
Yep. So yeah, on the health and wellness, just decide like what it is. What are you going to add? What are you going to subtract? What are you going to start? Right.
Like Mike, who's on the call, like I said, he's one of our coaches and coaching students. And I know, I think anyway, he had dabbled in juicing before. And I think that one of the main ones for his health and wellness, for a couple of the options every time we do this, is you get back on the juice thing. So I know that was something that, like I said, you had looked at or at least dabbled in a little bit, but then you kind of got more focused. And if you want to talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I have, I've always been a big guy. I mean, I don't realize how big I am until I see myself in pictures with other humans, and it's like, wow, it's kind of like the Hagrid effect. But
Yeah.
but so juicing produces results, but they have not proven to be sustainable results. So what I've been trying the first of this year, I got rid of bread and dairy, and have been really good at that. I think.
Nice.
I think the only dairy I've had, I think I got a Starbucks at a meeting the other day, and there was a splash of cream in it, and I was halfway through it before I even realized. And I think we had dinner with some friends, and tried to go, as no carb as possible. And there was one tortilla on my plate at the Mexican place, and I ate it, because I figure, when you that one tortilla, I don't think would topple the whole thing.
Right. Exactly.
Tried to eat plain, buy raw ingredients, and just make everything we're eating at the house. And yeah, it's more work and more dishes, but the quality is better. And I know the inflammation is going down, and, my clothes are fitting better. So, and it's not as immediate as the juice fast. I mean, the juice fast is really quick. In 60 days, you can drop a ton of weight. But the minute you go back to eating again, your body's like, oh, all these calories. Yes, luxury, please. It just hurts it. So
Exactly.
Find the sustainable normal that will work. And if I cut 98% of my year's dairy and bread and pasta out, which are my drugs of choice, I mean, I grew up in an Italian kitchen. I love spaghetti. I could eat it 4 meals, but not good for me. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, everything in moderation, I feel. But at the same time, if you want to focus on a specific hardcore goal, then go at it. That, like, I know Jay has done and I've done myself, just different challenges to see, if it's even doable, if we can sustain it, if we can make it happen. We've set some pretty lofty goals before and some pretty hefty consequences to make sure that we followed through. But I feel like, you can find a happy medium at the same time, back to the hustle mode. Hustle mode is great, but it's also exhausting if you let it be. So you need to find something that's attainable and maintainable more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you had a great experience with the juicing, Mike. And it was highly beneficial. But also it's good to know, like, once you finish that plan, like, have another plan ready.
Right.
Okay, like you said, Mike, like, now you're gonna cut out the bread and the pastas and stuff like that. And so just knowing that once you finish one challenge, make sure that you start another challenge to help you keep your whatever your goal is on track. Great. Because if you go back,
Something complimentary, not
obviously,
just counting on my stomach has shrunk and I can eat less, so I'll be okay.
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, because you naturally you'll naturally go back to eating the same stuff you ate before.
Right.
Because let's face it, carbs and sugar are an addiction.
Yeah. And
It's just natural that our bodies just naturally crave it. Once you've had it, even for a month straight, your body will start to crave sugar and carbs. And so, I just wanted to bring that up, Mike, since you mentioned that. Because it is easy to go back to the same routine after you set one goal and hit it and you've accomplished it. Like, okay, I did that. That's awesome. Now,
right.
let's eat some pizza.
Yeah. These days when you're trying to set new habits, right? You have to do it long enough to make it and to really make it a lifestyle, not just, I hate the word diet, right? Because it seems like it's just for a time period and, once you hit a goal, you're done, but it's really a lifestyle. And that's basically, it boils down to what kind of lifestyle you want for yourself in all aspects. And back to, where we were given the opportunity to do this huge fund and that just didn't fit in the lifestyle that we wanted. So if it doesn't fit in your lifestyle, then you're not going to do it. And if it does, then you'll make it an everlasting change, I feel like. So
Yeah.
And that's more of that was kind of the thought process with this, what can I start and take away and still maintain a quality of life? Because, food is delicious and I enjoy it. And I'm good in the kitchen. I have a massive spice cabinet and I can make anything taste like anything. I just have to be responsible with what that is. It's all a math problem, not emotional if I don't allow it to be.
Right.
So my goal is to do something that would get results and gives me a better overall feeling of my health, but then something that I can pivot into the next phase of that. And what does a responsible progression of that look like?
Right. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, so you just have to decide like what is your um what's your goal, and is it big or little? There's no right or wrong answer. Um I like to pick a big goal and then split it into little micro goals in between. That's just my personal preference. So if I want to run an Ironman race this year, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do it towards the end of the year. And then I can run a couple mini races in between, build my way up uh, to that goal.
Yep.
So,
Just like eating an elephant, one bite at a time.
Exactly.
yeah. And then next would be family and friends.
Yep.
I would just put spouse and significant other in there with it, since we're getting close on time. But that could be, do you want to spend more time with family and friends? And what does that look like? Maybe some of them you need to spend less time with.
All right. Good point.
Sorry. Sometimes that is the case. Depending on the dynamics of a relationship.
No, that's a very good point.
Um, but like for me, I know my parents are getting older, so I want to spend more time even just talking to them on the phone. And so one of my goals is to do that and walk, exercise. I'm keeping it general this year so I can mix up what I do. But if I can do a 60-minute walk, then I can spend, 20 to 60 minutes of that talking to my parents a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And that's what we call goal stacking, the stacking them together. So maybe you want to spend more time with your significant other or spouse, and you want to be healthier together. So maybe you're going to cook together. You're going to decide to cook meals together. Or maybe you're going to walk together at night after you eat, or, whenever you are together. And maybe not. Maybe you're going to do it completely separate, or maybe you're going to do it with a friend.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. And you don't have to goal stack. That's just an easier way to get more things accomplished, right?
Yeah, and make more meaning of it for me.
Right.
I just get more fulfillment spiritually if I get to do it with someone, on occasion. Sometimes I just want to go and work out and be by myself.
Right. That's a good solitary time. While showers are so golden because you're alone, and if it's just you and your headspace, it gives you opportunity to think.
Right.
Right. That's exactly right. And then money and career and business could also be looped together. Maybe there's a certain amount of money you want to have in reserves, or a certain amount of cash flow you want to produce each month. Or maybe there's some debts you want to pay off. And so, I don't know. If you have a business now, how can you increase the money incoming from your business to fulfill that money goal?
Exactly.
And if you want to grow your business, there's a certain number you want to hit annually or monthly. What steps do you have to do to reach that? Work it backwards.
Yep.
What's that, Annie?
I said, which we will get more into, like how we actually go through that later in the week. I feel like that's something to focus on a little bit later on. But if you guys for tomorrow want to start thinking about those 8 significant sections of your life and just kind of rating them 0 to 10 and thinking about what those look like and what what those look like currently and what you would like them to look like in the future. And start just putting into play some things in your mind about how to make that happen. We will reconvene tomorrow and get a little bit more in depth.
Hey everybody, it's Jay.
This is Annie.
We are so grateful for you joining us on our podcast and listening in and participating. We want to offer you this additional free bonus, and that is joining our Facebook group.
Yes, where we will have other individuals, not just us, but having conversations on all things real estate, and we would love to have you join us. So just click the link below and head on over and join our group.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the other side.